Welcome to the MLB Whiparound podcast, along with Eric Karros and the Hall of Famer Frank Thomas. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. On this episode, we'll discuss the Nationals and Dodgers battling in L.A., which team has more at stake this weekend in L.A. Plus, the Yankees not off to the start that most had predicted. We'll break down how much of the blame should fall on their starting rotation, all coming up. EK, here's the thing. So, Sonny Gray has not been good as a Yankee, even remotely. I mean, when you think about it, he's failed to make it through 6 innings, 6 of his 14 starts with the Yankees tonight. And because of it, their bullpen is suffering because their bullpen hasn't been good either.
No, the bullpen, look, that is the anchor of this ball club, that bullpen. And there are tremendous arms down there. But if they're going to be continually used at this pace, by the time you get to June, they're going to be done. I don't care how good arms. And it all goes back to the starters. These starters, there was a question coming into this year. Is Sabathia going to be able to throw like he did last year? Tanaka is always one pitch away from going on the disabled list with that elbow. Sonny Gray, as we mentioned, he has not been able to, I guess, acclimate himself to New York. I mean, that's one of the things. And like I said, there you see Tanaka. It's difficult pitching in New York, and it's not for everybody. And there have been, we can go through names of guys that have gone to New York and then just haven't been able to get comfortable there. And it's a difficult place to pitch with the expectations. Tanaka is their horse. He is their guy. And if he's not doing it and he's getting hit, remember, he had this issue last year where he really struggled. Then all of a sudden he got hot. Severino is the man, right? He is the man. He's got the best stuff. But we saw him have a huge hiccup against Boston.
Yeah. Frank, is this staff going to be able to make it here?
I don't think so. I'm going to be honest, this offseason. They got all the offense. They created more offense during the offseason, and they did nothing to the starting rotation. I really thought it's not like the Yankees. I thought the Yankees would go out and acquire that arm, especially with the limping free agent market. There were options out there to strengthen that rotation.
Yeah.
And you watch this race all year for the rest of this year, it's going to come down to starting pitching. And right now I think they're a little short. And you're right, Sonny Gray starts in Oakland with the atmosphere is ho-hum. I played there, you played there. So much more relaxed. You get to the Big Apple, and he's pitching stressed every day.
And remember, this is a team, too, that wanted to get under that luxury tax threshold and, the salary cap. So they didn't go out and make a splash as far as – they could have gotten Arrieta, right? They could have gotten in that bidding.
They were in on Garrett Cole.
They could have. But I do believe that come trade deadline time, they're going to go out and get somebody. They've got to get a starter. They have to.
I agree. I'd be shocked if they didn't. But, talking about Gray and his lack of length, 3 1/3 tonight, 5 runs. That's just not going to get it done. As a matter of fact, Yankee starters, 24th worst in terms of length. That's to your point. You're gonna kill the bullpen. It's not going to work for the Yanks. They've got to have better. That's the bottom line. I can't remember who said it. Frank, it might have been you last week. We were talking about the Nationals were in their rut, kind of talking about how Scherzer wouldn't allow them to go on a long losing streak. You kind of saw that personality in that first inning, didn't you?
Yeah, of course. Don Trell's the one who brought it up.
That's right.
Teammates with him. The guy's a bulldog. He is like in everybody's faces in that clubhouse. You know when he's going to pitch, and guys seem to uplift their games when he's out on the mound.
I tell you, this spring I ran into one of the young superstars in the game, and I asked him, who is the most difficult pitcher to face? Pause for a minute, and he says, Max Scherzer. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, obviously, because of the stuff, right? Not because of the stuff, because of the presence on the mound, the way he carries himself. I mean, you see Scherzer talking to himself, getting fired up, and then he's coming at you with that nasty stuff. I mean, as a hitter, you're almost beat before you get in the box.
So what are you saying there? Is there an intimidation factor there?
There is. Obviously, there's an intimidation factor, right?
I mean, like that with Nolan. When Nolan's out in the mound.
Yeah,
he can snarl and grunt a little
Nolan
bit.
would drill you.
Oh, yeah, I know, but
Nolan
it's that attitude factor that just really helps elevate their game.
I try to do that on the show. I try to talk to myself, see if it'll intimidate you guys, and just see how that goes.
Go right ahead. You do the whole show yourself.
It won't go well, I can tell you. Well, things were harsh today in the New York tabloids against Matt Harvey yesterday. We played it on the show. Obviously, he got shelled. The sound afterward, no guarantees will start again, and then he was not feeling so good, and now, Frank, the Mets have a little bit of a crisis a month into the season because a guy that they were encouraged by in the spring, remember, now it's a mess.
Well, I mean, he ended last season with a difficult time. People are saying he might be out of here and all this other stuff. He started very slow, hasn't gone much past 5 innings. At this point, I'm thinking it's time for an address change for him because I think it's the best thing for him and the best thing for the Mets because he built such a reputation in New York, and he's not coming anywhere close to it right now. And it's just tough night in and night out when people think or expect you to throw a no-hitter. So for me, I think it's time to move this guy, get him somewhere in a smaller media market, let him do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the right situation, though. What are you going to get for him? And, look, the Mets made a decision last year when they brought him back, and they signed him for a couple $1 million because they could have non-tendered him. So they said, we're going to bring him back, and it's because they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to let him go somewhere else.
Right.
And they think, you know what? What if he gets hot? What if he rejuvenates himself? And that's what they're trying to find that now. But you're 100% right. From a psyche standpoint, he's got to go somewhere else. You got to just go like to a Pittsburgh or go to Milwaukee or something and kind of get lost in that town and pitch.
I think the problem for the Mets is they needed him to be decent. They didn't need him to be the Dark Knight, but they needed him to be. He can't be a zero for them if they're going to make the playoffs and make a run. So it's a tough spot for them. Meanwhile, we just have to talk. We haven't talked enough about Ozzie Albies. With this kid, 21 years old, I like the Altuve thing because same size. I mean, he just turned 21. He's turning into a star in front of our eyes, Frank.
Well, when you got great players around the league that's talking about him, I saw a tweet from Andrew McCutchen the other day saying, watch out for this kid because he is real, he is the truth. That's telling me a lot when a talented player like Andrew McCutchen says something like that on Twitter. This kid is doing it all. He's running, he's hitting for power, hitting for average. I mean, what else you want in a second baseman? This guy's a special player. They've raised him. He's there with Warren Washington. I mean, he's got a great tutelage right now, and I know Ron is teaching him the right way. So look out for this kid. Could have been an all-star this year.
I know both of you guys have a lot of respect for Warren Washington. Obviously, you both had him.
Yeah, love Wash. I had an opportunity to play for him when he was coaching in Oakland, spent a lot of time with him. Is a guy that, can instill confidence. There's not a better infield coach in the baseball world at all. And, a lot of success in Texas. Should have won a World Series.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So now the Braves all of a sudden with Dansby Swanson, who struggled last year hitting, and now Albies at second. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. How much do we believe in the Brewers? How dangerous are the Milwaukee Brewers, EK?
So I like them for a wild card team. I like them in Arizona. And, look at the offense is there. When you put Yelich and Kane in that lineup, Marcus Thames now is swinging the bat. You've got Shaw and you've got Braun, you've got Santana. The thing, it just extends. And I had an opportunity to see him at the beginning of the season in San Diego, and they just wore you down. Now, they've been without Yelich. He's back. They're starting to swing. Kane's been a great addition. Look, the only thing that's going to hold Milwaukee back, I mean, the starting pitching isn't great. You've got the injuries, but I'm telling you that they've got to improve the defense. They're leading all of baseball in errors. They're kicking the ball around. So you can have all the offense, and you can improve that pitching, but if you're not catching the ball, it's going to be all for naught.
I like them. I mean, they play with high energy. They're good 1 through 9. Pitching, there's time to collect some more. But we said it 2 weeks ago. This organization went out and did everything possible to compete this offseason. So the Brewers are playing their product of hustle, energy, and, I mean, they got great players. Don't let them fool you, but it's going to come down to pitching for them.
To add on your point, starting pitching, they're 16th in the league in ERA. Their bullpen's 7th, and they're doing that without their closer, Corey Knebel, who's been out. That tells you how deep their bullpen is. Defense has to get better. Starting pitching has to get better, but they are routing the Marlins. That'll do it for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure to catch MLB Whiparound weeknights at 11 Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, only on FS1. Thanks for listening.